So we're about to jump into a role play with Valentin and Matt. Valentin is going to play the closer for a biz op that is offering IT professionals the opportunity to move into freelancing. And then Matt is going to play the closer here. And we're going to break down the nuances of the discovery part of a high ticket sales call. And I'm going to show you the things that you absolutely need to be doing if you want to close more sales. So without any further ado, Valentin, jump in with the opening question.
All right, Matt, in your own opinion, what is the biggest challenge you're having with making the transition to going into freelancing right now?
Yeah, I'd say that the biggest thing for me is there's so many things out there. Like there's so many courses and people to listen to out there, and I really don't know exactly who I should be listening to and what steps I should be taking.
Got it. Okay, so right now you don't know where to start and you don't really know who you should listen to with getting the guidance that it seems like you're looking for to making a transition into freelancing. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Got it. So with what you're doing right now, what is the main reason that you're looking into ways on how you can make the transition?
Yeah, I've seen freelancing online, and it seems like a good way to make some extra money. So I want to look into it. I want to make some extra money and be able to, do some more things in my life.
Okay. So making extra money, does that mean for you that this is an additional way on how you want to generate revenue next to what you're doing with your 9 to 5? Or help me out here a little bit.
Well, I mean, if I could make enough money doing it, like and leave my job, that'd be cool. But I just, I don't know if that's realistic in like the next 6 months, 12 months. If I could do that, that's something that I'd be interested in. Yeah.
Okay. So what is it specifically you're doing in your current position in your job right now?
Is right now, I'm just a manager for like a retail store.
Got it. And what does your background in IT and tech look like specifically?
Um, I went to university. I got my degree in computer technology. But at the time there wasn't a lot of jobs for it. So I was working in retail, and then I just kind of climbed the ladder there instead of looking for a job in IT.
Got it. Here's a little bit of I have to kind of jump out of it because usually you will be disqualified at this point. So you need to
Okay.
have actual practical work
Okay.
experience right now. So if that's been like a couple of years ago, it's usually not what we help people with.
Okay.
We would usually not have a person like that on the call,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So
Understood.
we can just jump back in and just shift a little bit, Matt, so that you would be a qualified prospect. That being said, what is your thoughts on how you're doing so far, Valentin?
I rarely have cases of people who say like they just want to make that as an extra thing because they're a little bit skeptical. Um,
Okay.
my idea was right now to just get more data on where he's currently at to understand a little bit better like how that fits into his bigger perspective. But very clear to me is like there's gonna be a big objection of like trusting in the process of freelancing enough. So we'll have to very likely go deep into getting to understand where the hesitancy is coming from and also the confidence in himself to actually making that work. That's what I hear so far.
Got it. I agree with the objection that we need to make sure that he has the trust. Do you remember that on some trainings I've mentioned that objections actually just disappear if someone has enough of a reason to get out of their current situation? So On one hand, we want to be managing objections. We want to make sure we're not avoiding tackling an objection. If it's glaringly obvious, then I'm going to tackle it. If they say, oh, I think freelancing is a scam, well, then we're going to have to talk about that. But someone saying, I want to make the move. I'm lost with all of the people online trying to tell me what to do and blah, blah, blah. If we try and directly handle that trust objection, it's not going to be as powerful as if we prove to the guy, or it could be a girl on the prospect, that they should trust us because we're having such a deep and meaningful and real conversation. In other words, they are less looking for trust in your vehicle, freelancing and how to get into freelancing. And they're more looking for the messenger of that vehicle. Do I trust this person? And if they trust you that you're on the ball and you're getting to the truth, the objection of like which person to trust kind of just fizzles out. It just disappears. And also remember that, let's say this prospect, and you don't have to change which prospect you were going to be, Matt, just as an example. Let's say this prospect had multiple sales calls with freelancing biz ops. Do you think those sales calls were going to be any good? No, they were going to be shit, with a shit salesperson that doesn't ask the right questions, that doesn't go deep enough, that doesn't listen, probably just jumps straight into pitching. And so this person's mental model of what they actually mean by I need to know who to trust is based on all of the terrible experiences they've already had before. So where I would have gone a bit different is we're kind of going now into the background. And I understand that you might need to do that for qualification purposes, but I would have just gone straight into this guy's pain. So he said two things. He said, I want more money and I want to do more things in my life. Okay. So I would have just gone straight into diving into that. I could have said something like, okay, got it. So you got to that point now where with what you're doing now, it's not going to allow you to make the money that you want to make, and it's preventing you from doing some of the things you want to do in your life. Is that accurate? Yes. Okay. How much money are you making? Right? I would have just gone straight into the pain. Quantify the money, quantify in what way his current job is preventing him from doing some of the things in his life. Is it financial? Is it time? Is it that he's bored? Is it that he's not motivated in life? Is that he's lost his mojo? He's not, got any purpose anymore? I need to dig into what he has given me, which is the money and the things things in his life. Okay. It's a weird one because he said, oh, I don't know who to listen to and I don't know what steps to make. And it's like, do we go after that or do we go after the money and the things in my life? Well, you always, always, always have to go for the pain and the problem first, because no matter how beautiful your pre-handling of the trust and who to listen to objection was going to be, if you haven't gone deep enough into why they even care about this and get them to really cough up the truth about what's going on, nothing you say to pre-handle the objection is going to do anything. So you got to get them really like feet to the fire that they need to change their job right now before you really want to go too deep into anything else. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll jump back into the role play. Matt, obviously, to be a prospect that would be qualified. Are you clear on what changes you need to make on that? Is that clear to you?
So my job then would be I'm in IT currently, or I've already done the type of work in an agency possibly, but I want to go into a freelance. I want to do it on my own.
Exactly.
Something like that. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Sure. Gotcha.
And then for Valentine, you can jump back into the role play wherever you want. So you can jump in where we finished, or you can go back a few questions, however you want to do it. And then we'll just go from there. Okay.
Got it. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. So, Matt, you mentioned that there's a couple things that you would want to do more of, be it financially, be it other aspects that you just can't do right now. Where are you at right now financially?
How much money I'm
How
making
much
a
do
month
you
right
make
now, or
from your job right now per month? Yeah.
right now, I mean, but it's between like 5 and 6K a month.
5 and between 5 to 6K per month?
Yeah, it just depends, like 5 to 6K a month right now, depending upon like if I do some extra projects, things like that.
Got it. Okay, so what is it that you're making take home from your 9 to 5 right now?
That's the 5 to 6K. Yeah.
Okay.
Take home.
And
Yeah.
that's take home. And then you mentioned there's a couple projects that you have on top of that that leads to that fluctuation.
Only if I like do like a project, like so sometimes I'll do some special like project on the side for friends, freelance. And I usually get paid like $250 a project for that. It's pretty quick work, pretty simple stuff. So sometimes I'll do like 4 or 5 of those a month and make an extra like, $1,200, $1,500.
Okay. So you make 5K as a base, you could say, and then depending on the projects that you have coming in, you're making an additional 1K roundabout.
Yeah. Yeah, it's right around there.
Got it. Okay. And what does it look like after all expenses for you per month?
So right now, like my monthly bills and everything, it comes out to about like 3,500. I mean, I don't live in a place that's too expensive, so I have like $3,500 is what I'm committed to every month with all my like my apartment, my rent, and kind of all the bills I have.
Okay. And then with the rest of the money, do you usually put it towards savings? Do you invest it, or how do you go
Yeah,
about
I
that?
mean, I have some money in savings, but I have some like in investments like crypto and things like that right now.
Okay.
Hmm.
Got it.
All right,
Um,
pause quickly. He gave you the answer, but it wasn't really like, this is exactly what I do with the money every single month. And the reason for that is because you minced the question. You were like, kind of, I can't even remember how you worded it, but instead of just saying, okay, and what do you do with the $1,500 remaining? If you'd have just been more direct with the question, he has to give a more specific, more direct answer. So I can't remember how you worded the question, but you kind of like beat around the bush with the question. Something like, well, what about the rest of the money or something? And then because of the way you phrased the question, he kind of danced around the answer as well. And it's really, really important that we know what he's doing with that $1,500. Number one, because it gives us an idea of what else he's got going on. Number two, it's going to allow us to say, depending on what he's doing, well, why not do more of that? He said crypto. So I'd say, okay, got it. And so like, I guess if you were to put it as a percentage, what percentage of your make money goals are you betting on crypto? And he might be like, oh, I think it will be a good way for me to make a bunch of money, blah, blah, blah. I'm pretty hopeful. I think I know what I'm doing. Why is that important? Because then I'd say, so what I'm wondering is, if you've already started in crypto, you've been investing in crypto, why not just do more of that instead of getting a new job or getting into freelancing? Because it's kind of an objection. It's like, well, what are you doing with the rest of the money? You're trying to multiply it. So what shifted in his mind that he no longer wants to try and multiply his wealth with crypto, that he wants to move into freelancing? That's why I would have wanted to know that. The final thing that I would have wanted to know about what he's doing with that 1,500 is just kind of getting an idea of what he's got available in terms of savings. Like if he's saying he's putting all of it into crypto, he might not have any lump sum anyway. So there's a lot of information we could have got out of wording that question a little bit better. Okay. Anyway, keep going.
should I go back to the question and reset it?
Yeah, wherever you want to go. You can start from
Yeah,
there. You can start where you finish. It's up to you.
got it. Okay. So Matt, you mentioned you have 1,500 left. What specifically do you do with that?
Yeah. Sometimes, and sometimes I do have a little bit more. At every month for the last 6 months, I put 1,000 into crypto. And then the other 500, I've just kind of like saved it, put it into an account that I have that is like, it's just like like an interest earning account, so I get it helps me with, covering inflation, and I make a little bit of money on it.
Okay. So over the last 6 months, that means you have 6K that you put towards crypto.
Yeah. I put the 6K towards crypto. And then yeah, my other account, I've been putting some money in that for longer, but like 500 a month on average, maybe 1,000, 15, depends on like if I make, some of those months I make more when I do some freelance stuff.
100%. Okay. So with the crypto investments,
Hmm.
what is the idea about that? Like, why would you not want to invest more towards that and generate
Don't
additionally?
hang on. Don't over egg the question. Just, with the crypto investing, what's kind of your idea there? Pause. Don't say, is it this? Is it that? Is it, but just leave it open-ended. It makes people want to open up more. So you're on the
Mm,
right lines. Okay. So you've put this amount into crypto. What is the idea there? It also comes across as much more curious as opposed to salesy. When I'm like, okay, what's the idea there? Are you trying to do this? You trying to do that? That they feel like you're fishing. They feel like you're trying to pull some information out of them. Whereas when you just leave it as a very small question, okay, so you've been doing that for 6 months. What's kind of the idea there? Oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. And they're going to open up to you. The more you back off with the questions, the more they're going to come forward with the answers. The more
mm.
you bulldoze them with your question, the more they're just going to, contract and give you like a tiny little response. So be careful how you word your question.
Got it. Okay, let me go back to that. So with your crypto investments, what is kind of the idea with that?
Well, I mean, I know it's the future, and I just I don't want to kind of get left behind with it, and so I'm pretty interested in it. But I see it as like, for me, it's more of like, how do I even say it? Like, I don't want to like be like out in the water, and then like the tide comes in. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to miss the opportunity of investing into Bitcoin and investing into some of these cryptos, and then in 10 years, like if I didn't do it, like I'd just be like shit out of luck, and I couldn't do it. So while I have the money, I want to put it away into that, just so that like that's kind of like going to be my kind of retirement thing, and when it kind of hopefully blows up.
Okay, that makes total sense.
Hmm.
So coming back to what you said when we started our conversation, you mentioned there's a couple of things that you cannot do to the extent that you would like to do them.
Uh-huh.
Financially, it seems to me like you're able to put money aside for savings. You're able to put money towards additional investments that will then pay you dividends in the long run. Where do you see yourself not being able to do the things that you would really like to do with your life?
It's just, with my job, I can't just go do things whenever I want to, so I don't know. I just kind of got tired. I've just been tired of it for like, the last 2 years of always having to ask for time off, always having to like, you know, maybe kiss ass to, get some certain days off that I'd like off and things like that. I'm just kind of over it.
Okay. So you mentioned it's been 2 years that you felt tired of
Yeah.
needing to ask for time off, having to kiss an ass in your own words.
Yeah.
Um, what specifically changed that you want to consider looking into other options than being in this 9 to 5 right now?
Well, I mean, I did some, probably like a year and a half ago, I did a course, on freelancing to try to start my own business and everything like that. And, it just didn't work out for me. And I was trying to do it on the side. So like, I took some some time off until probably about a month or so ago. You know, and just some things happen at work, and you know, it's just kind of like I'm sick of this shit. So I decided to, you know, see what else I could possibly do to try to start my business again and get out of it, you know, get out of my job.
Okay, pause. Do you know where you've gone wrong here, Valentine?
I could have gone way deeper, of course.
On what?
He mentioned that he, for example, he has to kiss his boss ass, right? Which is very visual. So I could have that like just went way deeper into like what that actually means.
Yep. And the other bit was asking for time off. Right now, they are like layer one of the onion, asking for time off, kissing ass. We need to bury him in both of those things, because during the process of burying him in those two things, we might find, holy shit, this is bothering Matt so much, he's going to give me 10 grand to learn how to do freelancing. Or we try and bury him in that and we're like, you know what? This isn't enough. Like, we need to find some other data and some other pain points. So, do you want me to jump in and just show you this section here as far as digging him in?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And I'll do it relatively quick just so you can see how quick I can do it. All right. So you said, you know, asking for time off, kissing ass. Is it fair to say like one of the issues, if we were to kind of put a label on it, is time freedom, like your time and you having the freedom to do what you want with your time?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Kissing ass. Who specifically is ass do you have to kiss?
Uh, there's a couple of people, but like most of it is like my direct supervisor.
Okay.
Yeah, if I'm not like to the T to the letter on everything, like he just gets in my face, and you know, like he's doing it like he's not doing it to like he's not out of line with like what the job requires, but the way he goes about it, just he knows he's like twisting the knife with me, because I've had several conversations with him about it, and he still just doesn't want to, you know, I guess just stop being an asshole about it.
Okay. Um, it, what I'm hearing is it's this specific supervisor that you don't like. I mean, have you gone to the other supervisor and I guess made a complaint about this supervisor, or, you know, just go and find a new job in a different company with a different supervisor that's maybe a nicer, more tolerant person? Why not just do that?
Um, yeah, I mean, I did go above, and I was that's why I said it was like kind of two people, because like the my supervisor's supervisor was just pretty tone deaf to it, and was like, just keep doing your job, like stop complaining kind of attitude. And he's like the VP. So I didn't, I just kind of felt shut down. And I don't, I'm just, yeah, I just don't want to like keep going through, like if I went to another job, like I'm taking on the chance that this is going to happen again. And I'd rather see if I can just do something on my own and be my own boss instead, because at least I won't have to put up with this shit.
Hmm. Specific words that you said there that felt very, um, you know, deep for you is being shut down. How many times
Yeah.
have you wanted to live your life and, you know, do the things you want to do and go to the places you want to go to and do them at the times you want to do them, and you just got shut down?
Um, yeah, I mean, it is, the most recent one was like a month ago.
Okay.
That's when I was really like, you know, wanting to get back into being serious about starting something freelance.
How
But
many times has this happened total if you were to ballpark the number?
oh man, like 6, 7 times since I've been here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm curious about is, did something change this last time that, having been willing to be shut down 6 times previously, this time was different? And if so, why?
I think it's just a culmination of it. Like it's not like they're, in my eyes, I guess they're not like major things. It's just like, hey, I want to, can I take a Monday off and have a long weekend, or a Friday off and have a long weekend? And I just see my other coworkers like getting that. And for me, they get it pretty easy. But like for me, it's like I get it like maybe once every like 3 months, every 4 months, they'll say yes to it. And I feel like they're just not being fair to me about it. And I'm just tired of somebody dictating when I can have time off, what I can be doing.
Understood. My question is, you weren't too tired for the first 6 times to do something about it. If
Yeah.
you are, why are you now too tired to let this happen another time?
Um, I guess this last time, well, so this last time is my sister is she's moving out of the country, and so she got married a couple years ago, but her husband just recently took a job in Australia,
Okay.
and so they're moving, and I wanted to just have a couple days off to spend some more time with them before they move. And because somebody had already requested that off, and for me it was kind of almost last minute, um, they just denied it. And and I tried explaining to him about like the situation. I tried calling the person who talking to my coworker who had taken that time off too, and just it didn't end up working out. And I was just like, I don't want to miss, because like I don't know the next time I'm going to see her. I don't know the next time I'm going to see like her kids, like my nieces and nephews, and I don't want to have to be in that position anymore, where I'm just like beholden to somebody else. Not if I can like do something on my own. And I've already been doing it. It's just I just don't know how to make it like a business. I've already been doing it with friends and people that I know on the side. So I just want to know how to like, how do I turn that into something full time?
So what I'm hearing is that previously you were shut down for, maybe taking a Monday off, going windsurfing, doing some things that whilst they were things you enjoy, it was kind of like more day-to-day things. Whereas
Mhm.
this more recent time was like, shit, if I don't go and work for myself, being an employee is controlling how I can be as a family member. Is that where this has kind of transitioned into something more serious?
Yeah, it is. I growing up, I mean, I didn't get a lot of time with my sister. And so over the last few years we've become really close. And so it's frustrating. It's just I don't want to um I guess lose touch, and I know we won't lose touch. There's all kinds of ways, but I just that personal time with her before she would take off was really important to me. And um yeah, so getting shut down on it really just pissed me off.
Hmm. Understood. All right, we'll pause the role play there. Do you see, Valentine, how like just taking those two things he said goes from asking for time off and kissing ass to being shut down to how many times were you shut down to then me being curious of like, well, it happened 6 times and you didn't really do anything about it. What's changed now? Oh, well, now it's about family. Now his sister's involved in the conversation. It's like from one thing, peeling the layers off of the onion, we've almost got to the point where I could probably close him. I'm probably like 3 questions away from being able to close him. You know,
Would you, can I ask you something?
yeah, go for it.
Would you go there even deeper into the relationship with his sister and him not
No,
having
not
time or anything
no,
like
I
that?
would no, I wouldn't really go any deeper into the relationship with the sister. So let's discuss what is missing. What is missing to close this guy right now?
big thing that is missing is that he's been trying certain things before to set himself up. It's very clear that he's at a point where he wants to make a change, but what he's tried didn't work out. He invested before in a program that didn't work for him. So the attempts that he took just failed. So that's a big part that we need to cover. And then ultimately find out like what specifically he feels is missing right now to get him in a position where he has to trust that it will work this time.
It's more the second piece, not even to the detail of what do you need, blah, blah, blah. The final thing that I need this guy to do is have the dot connecting, the light bulb moment of you are in this position because you're an employee. That's the way it works. If you want to take your life into your own hands, invest in yourself, train, get clients, all of those sacrifices and that hard work comes with the payoff of you never being shut down to spend time with whoever you want, whenever you want, because you're in control. The final piece that I need this guy to realize is, because thus far he's kind of been complaining, kind of, oh, my boss is an asshole, my boss is this, I don't like my boss. What he hasn't quite come to the realization of yet is whether your boss is a great boss or a bad boss and could be better or couldn't be better, that is just life of being an employee. The only way that you get out of this situation is to be your own boss, freelancer. So do I need to get into the tactics of like, oh, you need this training course and you need marketing help and you need lead gen? No, I don't need to get into any of that. What I need him to have the click moment in his mind is, oh, this is life as an employee. If I'm a freelancer, I don't have this anymore, as opposed to this kind of the problem is the boss. No, the problem is not the boss. The problem is you're an employee. If your employee says jump, you have to say how high or you don't get paid. That's the way it works. So we just have to connect that final piece. And then a closing question. So how much longer are you willing to be an employee and getting shut down to spend your time in your own way when you want, how you want? Because I'm going to sell him not on becoming a freelancer, on choosing to no longer be willing to be an employee. Because especially for an employee, I need them to choose to break free from choosing to be an employee. We need him to realize you chose to be an employee. You chose to be an employee the first time you got shut down. You chose to be an employee the second time you got shut down. Every single time that you put yourself back in the same situation is because you continued to choose to be an employee. He could have worked harder on getting into freelancing. He could have bought a course. He could have done this. He could have done that. He didn't do enough that he was willing to do whatever it takes to not be an employee anymore. So I have to get him to realize that through questions. I could ask a number of different questions to try and take him to that point. Once I've got that, I've got the pain, I've got the problem, I've got him to connect the dots as to what needs to happen. I would just close it with a how much longer question is basically all I would do. Is that clear?
Yeah. So ultimately, what I felt is since he's been in this kind of victim mentality, it seems like because he's just complaining about things not working, the ownership is just like what's missing. So like either I own this and I just stay where I'm at, or enough is enough and I'm gonna pay the price for going all in on me.
Yep. Yep. So
So
I could say a number of things. I could say, okay, so, you want to spend time with your family when important things come up and you put in a request for time off and, basically you get shut down and told no. Why do you feel you're in this situation? Why do you feel like you continue to be in this situation? He might say, oh, it's a shit boss. He might say, well, it's because, I'm an employee. I need to lead him to that point where he realizes it's because he's chosen to stay as an employee. And I'll just stay in that holding pattern around and around and around until he comes to the realization. because without the pain and the problem and the realization of what needs to change, I won't make the sale. But with both those two things, that's it. I don't really need anything else. I just need him to, the light bulb moment that I need this guy to realize is all of the current pains and current problems he is facing is because he is choosing to be an employee. Once he has that light bulb moment, it's like he can't unsee it. He'll never, ever go back to work as an employee again without realizing, shit, I'm consciously choosing to put myself in this situation another day. And that's the transformation mentally that you need the prospect to have on the sales call. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add, Matt? You're obviously experiencing and feeling being the prospect.
Yeah, there's a couple of deeper levels for me. I know that we haven't touched on, but I don't feel like we need to get to those. Those are more of the emotional ones. I think, like you said, is like getting me to understand, yeah, dude, this is how it's going to be as long as you choose to be an employee. So how much longer are you going to choose to be an employee? And getting me to understand like that. It's just like, it's, and like you said too, Valentine, like the ownership of it. What I wrote down was the why do you feel like you're in this situation? So like summarize the situation to them. So you're this, and this. Why do you feel like you're in this situation? That's the attempt to get me to take the ownership of like, well, because I keep choosing it. How much longer do you want to keep choosing the situations? I don't want to. Why not? So I see, yeah, I see where that was. Is there ever a time, one question I did have about that, Josh, was, I don't remember if it was either you or that, when you ask this and you're circling around that, trying to get me to take ownership, and you've asked it a few different ways, then at that point, you have the opening to ask them if they'd like to, or let's say, can I offer a different perspective, where you just tell them then, because they're just not getting it, to hopefully get them to like understand. Okay.
Yeah. Do you want me to give an example of how I would do that in this scenario if you just weren't getting it?
Sure.
So I'd say, so the problem I'm really hearing is that whilst you don't want to be experiencing the negatives of being an employee, you also haven't gotten clear on that just being the choices you're making by being an employee. In other words, you understand the problems that you're in, but you haven't come to the realization of what's causing those problems. And really, whether it's right or wrong, if you're an employee and someone else is giving you a salary, you are being paid to work when they want you to work. And if you don't do the work that they want at the level they want, when they want it, they will fire you. In other words, your life is not in your hands. Your life is not in your control. But it doesn't sound like right now you've come to that realization. And so I would say at this point, we don't have alignment, because anybody that we would consider teaching how to be a freelancer has come to the realization that anything but being your own boss is willingly choosing to be someone else's employee. In other words, do what they say when they say. If you get to that point sometime in the future, more than happy to revisit things. But at the moment, if you haven't come to that realization, we wouldn't be aligned. Now, at that point, you're probably going to go, oh, actually, now I've come to the realization.
Yeah. No, right? I was actually going to say, no, that's why I'm here. It's 30 days ago. This was enough. It was the final straw.
Yeah. And then you don't move on. You have to tie them down. I'd say, so what changed from a minute ago when you didn't seem to have that dot connected in your mind? What shifted in the last 5 seconds?
I was just making excuses for,
right.
So it's my responsibility.
Yeah. You can't unsell and then let them say, oh, I've changed my mind, and then say, oh, great. Okay, move on. You have to stay there, because otherwise it's just a trigger reaction. They're like, oh, I'm not going to have the opportunity to hear the pitch. I'm just going to say whatever I need to say. So you have to make them beg for it and grovel for it and tell you all the right things at that point, because They've already shown you they weren't able or willing to get to the conclusion on their own. So why am I going to be more lenient and more offering to someone that was less willing to do the work themselves to come to the realization? I'm going to be even harder on them for their own benefit, because it's like, well, if you weren't able to get to this conclusion on your own, I'm not going to drag you over the finish line, because then you're going to be like, where am I? Why are we here? I don't understand what's going on. It's like, no, you need to realize where you need to walk in life. And if you haven't got there and you're only telling me now because I'm saying, well, I'm done running this race with you, I'll go talk to someone else. You're like, no, wait. It's like, no, I'm not going to wait. You tell me why I should wait. You didn't get it 2 seconds ago. So what's gone on now? Now, you're not going to be rude, probably not going to be as direct as I'm talking to you guys, but you're definitely not going to unsell and then just allow them to get back into the sales conversation. They need to tell you, and they'll probably say exactly what you said. You know what? I always knew this. I've just found it really difficult to cough up and own up that I'm just making excuses. Okay, that's truthful. That's taking ownership. That's fair. They're admitting that it's difficult to say those things, but they're now willing to say the truth. That's fine. You could move on at that point. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other takeaways, guys?
I have one more question on that.
Sure.
I do have it very rarely that people come on the call basically expecting me to sell them on the idea of freelancing, which I don't do. I've seen one of your calls where you basically sent someone away and gave him 24 hours to really think about the commitment of actually going into this. When do you draw the line where you say like you're gonna go with that? Like when do you really say like, okay, this is the time where even like in a situation like this, it's a little bit different because they don't even have the commitment to going into freelancing. Where do you say, okay, at this point, you're not even allowing like that one door to remain open so they can come back and say like, you know what, now that you tell me, I understand it and I see that it's just excuses or it's fears or something like that in that capacity.
Yeah, it's kind of an intuitive feeling. Like if I've spent 20 minutes in a sales call trying to move the conversation forward and someone just isn't getting it, and then at the end they try and say, hey, don't go, I really want to do this. I'm like, I don't believe you. I just don't feel like you really know what you want, and that's totally fine. I'm not judging you. I'm not criticizing you, but we work with people that know this is what they want, and you're not at that point yet. You may get there in the next 2 hours when you get off this call and you go and stare at the wall and realize your life isn't where you want it to be. But I'm not going to assume that you've had that realization because I'm Tony Robbins and just made you realize it in the last 60 seconds. I'm not that good. I'll probably play some jokes in there and basically just let them know that like you haven't transformed your perspective in the last 30 seconds. But if you go away and you spend the next 24 hours and you think this through and you come back to me tomorrow and you're like, you know what, you're 100% right. I'm not where I want to be and it's my fault. And this is what I need to do to get where I want to be. And I'm going to do that right now. You text me. I'll see what my availability is over the next couple of days. We'll book in a time and we'll get you onboarded. Right. So yeah, it's more of an intuition. If you just feel like you're trying to get someone to realize the severity of their situation more than they do, your job as a salesperson isn't to care more about the prospect's life than they care about their own life. That's not your job. And your job is definitely not to convince the person on, in this case, getting into freelancing. They came to the call because they're not satisfied where they are. And the bullshit about like, oh no, it's because they saw an ad. It's like, yes, but they saw an ad that resonated with them for a specific reason. We see ads all day long that we don't click and definitely don't book in a sales call. If they saw an ad that said something about, in this case, time freedom, be your own boss, spend time with your family, whatever, they see an ad, they're like, oh, that's exactly what I want. They resonate with it because of what's actually going on right now in their life. And you have to have that faith and that belief and that assumption that everybody that turns up to a inbound sales call, not a cold call, has a problem that they want solved. And if they're like, some weird place where they're on the fence, you have to say, go away for 24 hours and think about it. Yeah. A guy that you're referring to came in the next day and bought and became one of our best clients at the time. So, whereas if I'd have tried to sell him at the time, he wouldn't have enrolled, or he would have enrolled and then been like, oh, I'm still not sure. I'm in the program and now I have to do my studying and I don't really want to do it. It's like, you just do a disservice to the business owner because they get a refund, the prospect, and yourself. It's not beneficial to anybody.
100%. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Any other points, feedback, takeaways, questions on this, guys?
I don't have any.
Very quickly, because at the top of the call, the conversation was also about what he had tried in the past. I feel like that was pretty much obsolete. As deep as you went, it was just not really important anymore, right?
Yeah, because what they've tried before doesn't matter. What matters is the commitment level they put into what they tried, which, as we know, wasn't very high for this guy because it happened 7 times. And only now has he had some wake-up call with his sister. Prior to that, what he tried in the past, oh, I don't know who to trust. You know, the ironic thing, guys, is prospects always give outward external objections that are actually internal objections. Let me explain that. I don't know who to trust. The person not to trust right now is you, because you're not trying hard enough. You're not committed enough. You're not putting in the work. So what do? I don't know who else to trust. Well, that's because you don't trust yourself. And it's the same with us. It's the same with prospects. You know, I remember very clearly a specific sales call I had, one of my first sales calls, opening part of the conversation. What is your biggest challenge in your dating life? Oh, I'm meeting women that demonstrate flaky behavior. They book a date with me and then they don't turn up, or they reschedule, or they cancel, whatever. Okay, that's his external problem. At the very end of the sales call, what does he do? Hangs up the phone. Flaky behavior. So what you're getting in your life is just a reflection of something that you're doing wrong internally. So when the prospect says, oh, I don't know who to trust, it's like, well, let's dig into your own, you know, commitment to solving your own problem, shall we? And the answer is probably they're not really trying. You know, and this is how the universe works as well, which is why the more you do the right things for yourself, the more you just make investments without needing sales calls and fucking all sorts of digging into the data. It's like, I trust myself so much that I buy shit without even really knowing what I'm buying, because I'm like, whatever, I'll just buy it. I'll try it. If I don't like it, I'll just go make the money again. The more like you're in this fearful, neurotic, anxious state of, I don't know, I don't trust myself, you project that into your external reality. I don't trust that business owner. I don't trust cryptocurrency. That's a scam. This is a scam. Everything's a scam. You know, you just project it out there. Whereas when you trust yourself, your belief is everything will work out just fine. And therefore you don't have these like weird trust issues. So it's a bit of a rabbit hole down there.
Oh, super interesting. I had it on a call review earlier today from one of my guys on my team. And this guy said that the other offers that he had looked at were not actionable solutions. And I was like, this is very funny, because that's exactly the problem that this person has. So he's overthinking and underdoing, right?
Right.
It's the same thing.
Yep, exactly.
That's cool. Yeah.
All right, guys, let me outro this video. So there you have it. That is a brief discovery of a high ticket sales call. As you can see, you don't need to have a 30, 40-minute discovery. You don't even need to ask 30, 40, 50 different questions. What you need to do is find a pain point, find a problem, and go deeper into that specific pain point. Don't try and move the conversation forward into your different parts of the call or different sections, you know, goal setting or this or future pacing. Just find the thing that is bothering the person and then probe and probe and probe and probe and go really deep. So we saw on this one, it started about being time freedom that this guy was missing. Then it gets into emotionally, I get shut down and it's annoying me. We then get into, well, how much time has that been going on for? Oh, multiple times. Well, now I'm very curious. What's actually changed now? We took one thing and we went down and down and down and down and down off just one single thing. And you don't need to try and be some fancy salesperson that's trying to pre-handle all the objections until you actually have that real tangible pain. You can't do any amount of pre-handling objections that will overcompensate for not having a real need to buy. If there's no real need to buy, you don't need to be doing any pre-handling objections or objection handling at the end of the call. Just find the real need and everything else will take care of itself. We then talked about a few other key pieces. So 2 more things. The second one is dot connecting. This is where, as a very high level salesperson, once you find the pain and the problem and the impact and all the negative things that this person is experiencing, you have to lead them to why that's going on. By leading, I don't mean asking leading questions. I mean asking questions that allow the prospect to look in different areas than they've looked at before to create the cause and the effect. When they can find the actual cause and they're like, oh, I've chosen this. I've chosen to be in this situation by doing these behaviors, or I've chosen to be in this situation by not doing these behaviors. When they have that realization, it is called dot connecting. Everything comes together in their mind like a giant mosaic, and they're like, I know what I need to do. I've had this light bulb, I've had this realization, and then they just want to close themselves. They just want to enroll. They want to enroll right now. They want to pay the whole price, and they want to get on with solving the problem. A big thing that salespeople miss is once they've got the pain and the problem, they don't help the prospect realize why they've chosen to be in that situation by their current actions or their current lack of actions. Once you do that, sales is very easy. Final piece is unselling. So this was something we got into at the very end, which is if someone really can't connect everything together in their mind, your job as a salesperson is not to force them to see the light. Your job is to say, based on what you're sharing with me, we're not aligned. You explain to them why you're not aligned. That will often be the final Hail Mary where they actually now realize what's going on. But if not, there is no point spending 20, 30 minutes trying to do objection handling, follow up with them for the next 3 weeks and try and see if they've now come to Jesus. No, if they don't see the big picture and how everything connects together, you just unsell them. In other words, you tell them, I'm not selling you. You're not a fit. So when you master those 3 things, scriptless discovery, so you can go much deeper into the pain and the problem, dot connecting, and unselling when necessary, you will close a significantly larger amount of your sales without getting objections, without doing follow-up, and without having difficult prospects that you need to manhandle to buy. So if that's something that you actually want trained on, we do what we've been doing here every single week for 3, 4, 5 hours. We do role plays, call reviews, and specific training on certain scenarios. There'll be a link somewhere around this video. If you click that link, there'll be a video on the page which gives you more details on the Unicorn Closer Mastermind, and I might see you on the inside very soon.